Well, hey everybody, I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, a rune and tarot divination for Monday, the 11th day of March, 2024. Well, we have a Master 11 day, awakening, enlightenment, illumination. So awaken to your own fundamental truth today. Use that energy to see things in a different light, perhaps. More a light from higher awareness instead of ego. Let's see, where is my rune bag? There's my rune bag. All right, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to pull the two significator runes. Well, I'll pull the one from the Elder Futhark bag for the above side, the higher self side, and then I'll throw down the four elemental runes for the Geomancy rune. Discover what that one is. It's more of a discovery than anything else. Let's see what we have. We have Fehu. Now, Fehu means cattle. It's the first rune of the Elder Futhark, and it's about life force and cattle and transaction, how we transact our experiences. Basically, it can indicate growth and success, and so initially, anyway, we can say that there's something about either financial transactions today having to do with that, or overall how you transact your experiences with other people. Let's see. We're going to put the Geomancy runes, the elemental ones, into the order of fire, air, water, and earth, and that gives us Fortuna Minor, which, theoretically, can indicate finances. Fortuna Major is its complement. And so whereas Fortuna Major would be greater fortune, and again, it doesn't have to be finances. You can look at the family that you have, the focus on that, the investment you make in family is your greatest fortune. Your legacy that you leave behind is your greatest fortune, which can include money, of course, and wealth and assets and things like that. So just keep a broader mind on that a little bit. And we'll know more when we look at the cards to get more of the details of what this has to do with. But right now, it's looking like it's financial in nature. And so with Fortuna Minor, on the other hand, as opposed to Fortuna Major, this is more progressive success. So baby steps. So you can look at it in terms of the way you might with the rune Rado, where you're looking at process over the goal, the integration between rider and horse with Rado. It's not so much the destination or the goal, but how you get there and how integrated you are with people. If there are other people involved in the whole situation, and typically there is, either in and of the work itself includes other people where you work, or the people that work for you if you're the owner of the business, or it could mean your family who gains from the work that you do in terms of material security for the family. But this would be progressive success with Fortuna Minor. So how you get there, how you transact with others today, no matter whether it's financial or otherwise, you gain from it. Okay, so there's a sense of with Fehu again, abundance, cattle. The key word is cattle, life force. Cattle back in the day, when it was a movable type of a wealth. So if the tribe had to pick up and move to a better area for during the winter time, they might have a summer place that they go to. In a sense, they're moving around, and maybe they use cattle. Maybe they need something from another tribe they meet along the way. They have some stuff, some food maybe, and you trade maybe one of your cattle for it. And so it's that type of barter or what have you, that type of exchange, if you will, that leads to abundance, basically. But again, abundance doesn't necessarily have to mean something that's financial. So I've had readings here where we've had Fehu, and it turned out to be, in fact, one that was kind of recent. And it turned out to be the family the relationships you establish with others, and the time investment you put into that. And that, doesn't really have anything to do with money, does it? It has to do with your time and who you are within that whole experience. And the impression you leave behind. That could be your legacy, right? So, but let's just keep that in mind, though. It initially it could have to do with resources. So let's go ahead and cut the deck. Oops, something just came up. Let's clear that out. Get that off the screen. There we go. So let me recut the deck here because I don't know which one was the lower half of the deck. Oh, for heaven's sakes. Well, now my cards are all messed up. So let me shuffle one more time. I do a bunch of shuffling before I start. It kind of gets me in the mood and get my focus on all of this. It's just sort of a meditative thing for me. I've known of some tarot readers, they'll say, yeah, sometimes I just sit and I shuffle cards. If I'm feeling distracted or scattered, I'll just start shuffling cards and I'll, I'll feel better. Well, here we have strong soul archetype cards. We've got 2 major arcana cards, and then we've also got the 9 of cups. So on this 11, I like to get stuff like that on a master number day on 11 or 22. If we had 33 days in a given month, there'd be 33, but we don't. But anyway, it's nice to have that soul type of, or higher awareness type of influence. And you're looking at the sun, you're looking at the lovers, and you're looking at the 9 of cups here today. Let's go ahead and do this overall numerology, though. We've got 1 for Fehu, so that's 1 plus, we've got 19 for the sun, plus 6 for the lovers, plus 9. That's 35. So that's going to reduce 3 and 5 is 8. So we have an 8 numerology for the whole reading. And you're looking with 8, you're looking at leadership, you're looking at strength, inner strength, material recognition and approval. So again, this could be job related here today. But, you're looking at some emotional fulfillment here with the 9. So I don't know. Maybe it has to do with, I don't know that this is necessarily going to be financial in nature. Although if you attach the planet Venus to the Lover's card, if you do that, and I don't know that you would, but if you did that, Venus is both about, relationships and beauty, and it's also about finances. So I don't know, maybe Sun could be success. Let's do, though, I'm tempted to put the Sun at the end, because that can indicate success. Why don't we do that? Happiness, fulfillment, success, all of that. Let's start. Why don't we start with the lovers? Let's start with the lovers. Here we have an angel above with the sun in all its radiance. That the sun indicates either heaven or higher self, or the collective consciousness. You see the angel with it looks like he's got kind of a purple, he or she, it has a purple cape on, or shawl on here, a type of a cover. Their wings are red. You see leaves adorning the front part of the angel's head. You see the depictions of Adam and Eve, if you will. You see as kind of a spindly oak tree trying to grow and develop there. You see you see both red and yellow on the leaves, and so there's evidence of the fire element here. Is what I'm talking about when we get to the sun and the red wings and the red part of the oak leaves. So there's a fire element. There's a masculine element there, and then you see Eve with the with the apple tree here. You see the apples on there. You see the serpent of knowledge winding around the tree, trying to talk to the woman here. You see the dark clouds that the angel is resting on. And then you also see an interesting mountain that seems to be pointed in the direction of the woman there. Now, with all that said, 6 is about assistance and guidance and harmony, basically, empathy. I tend to put shared direction or shared path in with that. And so basically with the lovers, you're looking at balance, duality, choice, self and others, integration, unification. Again, when we talk about the idea of integration and self and others, that might relate as well to Fortuna Minor here a little bit in terms of remember I said in the beginning that Rado, which is the rune, it means rider and horse basically, and it's that integrated motion and it's the process over the goal. So again, you're looking at how that whole process is structured. Now you can look at this in terms of balanced polarity. But if you do, I think that it's more heavily weighted on the receptive or feminine aspect of self. You can look at this as how you integrate and unify with other people. So again, you could look at this overall as a higher version of the collaborative effort you might have with somebody today. How you transact that, whether it's you're the business and this is the customers that you're dealing with, or maybe another maybe you hire somebody in to help out with something, so maybe you subcontract that. In other words, it's the transactional relationship you have with other people that you do in some kind of balance, but it's going to be more heavily weighted on the receptive side of self, which is maybe a little more intuitive. It's maybe a little more, I don't know, you're not as apt to get into it with people. You're more apt to observe the situation, whereas the masculine side might be more willing to be judgmental and maybe act without knowing everything. And so when I see the Lover's card, and I find it interesting, that Eve is the one who seems to be the dominant person here. She's about knowledge. She's got the tree of knowledge behind her and the serpent of knowledge behind her. She's looking at the angel for guidance, and so there would be the 6. You see that unevenness about a 6, where you've got all of the weight of truth, higher truth here, essentially expressing itself into physical form, into these two particular forms here, or into the masculine and feminine presence within. Trying to keep that in some kind of alignment here, so that it doesn't take over and do things that are not really conducive to expressing or invoking higher awareness into everything you do. Here you have it's just an interesting way that this is depicted. Excuse me, because you've got Eve looking at the angel, whereas Adam's looking at her. And so where's the real abundance? It comes from spirit, doesn't it? Right? Excuse me. I've not had enough tea this morning. I don't know how all of you are doing with this springing forward. I never do well with it. My body clock, and everyone's body clocks, works best, and inner rhythm works best on Pacific Standard Time, not daylight time. I don't know why we do this, but I do know why we do it, but we shouldn't be doing it anymore. And they'll say, "Oh, well, let's do Pacific. Let's change it all to Pacific Daylight Time." It's like, no. Listen to the scientists. It's Standard Time we need to be on. Anyway, we got up at 10:47. I'm really realistic. It was 9:47. I don't know why we did that. I mean, we're up by 8, at the latest, but oh no, it was 10:47 when we woke up yesterday morning. It's like, what? Half the morning's gone, right? Or most of the morning's gone. Yeah, who needs it? Anyway, about the lovers, in terms of integration with other people, I think that in letting spirit inform all of that, and having that be your guide, that be the place that you come from when you're looking at things and trying to figure things out in terms of how you're progressing in whatever it is you're doing here today. It's got to come from that higher awareness and getting that and letting that decide the balance within, basically. I just find it interesting that, with Eve being the bad person in all of this, usually, from a religious sense, she's the one that was weak. In fact, she's the one with strength. She's the one that's looking to spirit and drawing everything she needs from that. Instead, he's looking at her and not at the angel. He's not concerned with that. But then you see her abundance here versus his lack thereof here. So, I don't know. Just my, don't get mad at me. It's just how I see it. So anyway, now that you're talking about thinking about the self in others, okay, the relationship that you see between yourself and others, or the idea of when you see somebody or interact with somebody, what you're reacting to is really the issues you have within. That's another way of saying that. But basically, we're looking at duality and balance and discrimination and choice and integration and all of that with the Lover's card. And when you're looking at how you're going to transact today with others, I think that all matters. And in terms of, especially in terms of a progressive type of an experience toward a positive outcome or a successful outcome, as opposed to Fortuna Major, that's the big windfall at the end. Moving on to the Nine of Cups, the implication here with the Lovers is once you balance this, then you have an emotionally fulfilling experience when you do that. 9 is about endings and completion, but it's also about spirituality. And so again, when you're trying to draw in higher awareness to inform what it is that you're doing and that balance that you strike within, or the balance you strike with others, you're looking at how am I going to integrate? How am I going to do this in a way that brings emotional fulfillment to me? You see this guy here, he's sitting on a wooden bench. He's got his arms crossed, but it's not in a defensive posture. Otherwise he wouldn't be, in that position there, the whole man spreading there. You see, it's a solid yellow background, indicating essentially higher awareness is invoked here that creates this whole idea of emotional fulfillment. You see the 9 cups sitting on top of a curved wall there. And you see a blue drape behind him. Blue is significant of the water element, as are cups. And so you're looking at higher awareness, basically with the yellow being the background or the foundation for your emotional fulfillment today. So again, in the interactions you have with others, you will be emotionally fulfilled if you don't let the ego take over. You'll find some type of peace and harmony and love and unity within that structure that you can then, continue along the way. That's your foundation with your goal in sight, whatever it is, whether it's some kind of financial success today or not. It could be just you've never really embraced a collaborative experience before. You like being the boss, or maybe you like working independently, or what have you, and maybe that's a difficult thing. And again, I think it is for some people. I think we all want to have our voice heard, and sometimes in a group setting, we don't necessarily feel like that happens. And so again, how you manage that group process, giving voice to everyone there, making everybody matter in the final analysis is the best way possible, I think, especially if you're working in some kind of a collaborative experience today with people. In the end, you have some success here with the sun. Now, the sun's about happiness and fulfillment. The sun also in astrology represents the self, clarity, reunion, the light, awakening, again with the 11 numerology for today, for the day itself. The master number for awakening and illumination aligns extremely well, obviously, with the sun. Here you see a Here you see a child on the back of a well, it's usually a white horse, but in this case it's kind of grayish. You see the red flag or pennant, if you will, flowing in the breeze. You see the sunflowers rising above the stone wall behind the child and the horse, and you see the sun again, like you do here with the lover's card. You see the sun, a little bit different presentation, but expressing its rays throughout creation, basically. And again, what it means is happiness and fulfillment that you get here in whatever you're doing today, in the transactions you have with other people. That process is made better by bringing higher awareness into that whole situation and letting it inform what it is you do, instead of having the ego response, where maybe if it is a collaborative experience of some kind, it's not, say, a business and customers, which is collaborative, but not in terms of, say, you have a job where you've got a bunch of people that are working together on a project. That's a different type of collaboration. Whatever that is for you today, how you transact yourself and that whole experience with the two major arcana cards, and with Faye, who's starting us out today from the Elder Futhark, is really talking about a higher level of that to guide that process, so that the arguments that can happen, the vying for leadership and control of the experience and of the group, of the collaboration, doesn't become the focus of all of it. You have a goal in mind. You have something you need to accomplish, whether it's selling something to a customer or whether it's, again, in a collaborative experience with other people. You've got to do what you have to do to get there. And how you do that matters. And again, leaving the ego out of it, trying to balance the ego in a way, because the masculine and feminine presence within is part of the ego. All right, and it's sort of a triplicity of experience, where you've got, physical reality or the ego itself, and then how is the ego going to present itself? Is it going to present itself in a receptive way or a projective way? In other words, feminine or masculine? How's the ego going to try to control the situation, basically? And so realizing that has to be governed by higher awareness. That's game, set, match, basically, in terms of your experience here in form, making that realization that in fact you're not the body you're in, you're the soul that's occupying the body. It just needed a vehicle, that's all, to be here and to experience whatever it came into this incarnation to experience. And so if you do that with that in mind, and to set back and perhaps be a little more observational in what you do before you start reacting, make sure you understand the whole situation that's going on. And in that respect, if you're collaborating with others on a project, that means you've got to listen to everybody. That way you know what's on everybody's mind. There could be some outlier who makes some kind of outlier comment, and that changes everything, that changes the dynamic, that changes how you achieve that goal together, right? And so letting everybody's voices be heard would be part of that higher awareness, saying, well, no, I want to know what that person, she never say anything. Come on, what do you think? Encouraging everybody to participate fully in that experience. By talking and giving their own opinions, having that be part of the transaction process, essentially. So transaction can be manifested in a lot of ways, but obviously today, with the 11th being March 11th, you're looking and March is the third month of the year, so that's already integration in your interactions with others, being integrated that way. So you're looking at that as a reinforcement for it as well. Again, this could just simply be, I personally like working with other people and knowing what it is I need to do and being able to offer my own opinions and my own experience into something. I like that. I also like working alone, but I like that feeling of, look what we created together. And so I'm sort of about that in a lot of ways. So I like when we have a reading like this, because it it gives everybody the chance to think about what that can look like in a way that isn't everybody arguing with everybody or vying for position or anything like that. That's a different way of transacting with others, isn't it? It's one that's extremely unequal, and you want to keep that inequality going, where you have all the power, someone else has all the power and authority and control over something. And that's not what this is. When you have to actually give that up to be one of the voices in the room instead of the main voice in the room, that can be a tough thing to let go of when that's not what you're given to do. Being able to collaborate with others in an egalitarian fashion isn't always easy. But when you can do that, that's a really positive thing. And that represents Fortuna Minor and the progressive success you have along the way as that collaboration continues and continues toward the positive outcome. You can be proud of what you did, that everybody had a voice, that everybody had the ability to say what they think about it and to add what their own life experience has been, right? So I think that especially in terms of an 8 numerology for the overall reading, that takes a level of leadership within, that is able to let go of that, let go of the control of everything, and become and view everyone as a leader within the group. Essentially, it will lead to essentially more material recognition and approval if you do have an overall boss that's watching, going, okay, how are they going to manifest this? How's this going to work out? Are they going to be able to work together? Are we going to have anything? Are we going to be on? Do we have like a target date for when it gets done? I mean, are they going to meet that target date, or are they going to devolve into chaos? Essentially, right? And so I think with the emotional satisfaction you get with the 9 of Cups from it all is a pretty cool feeling, I think, anyway. I know when I've been in those situations and we can all look at one another and go, wow, look what we just did. It's the we aspect of it that to me matters the most. And it's the part that I get excited about. So, and maybe some of you do too. I don't know. But in any event, the success that you get is dependent upon the balance you strike and how willing you are to be emotionally fulfilled by that, and not trying to let the ego control and undermine or push their way either way, because the masculine and feminine can represent that as well. And so, because it depends on how far you go with it, really, So, and I know we've all seen that happen in groups where someone's going to undermine somebody else or others are going to push their way. It's like, and then you feel lost in the shuffle, don't you? It's like, well, I had something to say, but now I feel like I can't say that. I can't say anything at all. Well, yeah, you can. And I think that's what this reading is talking about. And whether that ends up being a financial success in the end, maybe it does. Maybe you'll all get a raise from what you did. Maybe we're so successful and made the company so much money that the boss gives you all a raise for it all. So there's your material recognition and approval with the overall 8 numerology, and also the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, basically, which you see actually in the 10 of Cups. That's the full. This is just the beginning of that, right? You have the completion of that with the 10 of Cups. But let's see. And when did we have the 10 of Cups? Oh, we had that. On Thursday of last week. So we talked about that one then. That's the one where you've got the rainbow with the cups embedded, and the family's dancing, and the house is across up on the little hill there. Yeah, that's the, here you have your emotional satisfaction and security, and then it ends with a true legacy that's being built at the end. So that begins anew, that comes full circle after the 10. So anyhow, I think that's it. I think we did it. But I really think that how we interact with others can really bring us a lot of emotional fulfillment, a lot of emotional satisfaction, and feelings of belonging and success and all of that. So whether this is actually financial in nature or not, it can be, if it happens to apply in your life that way, great. If not, it's just that I think the end result is the emotional satisfaction we get out of being able to meet people on an even keel and try to engage with them in a way that uplifts everybody in the process. So anyhow, that's it. I hope you guys had a good weekend. It can't figure out what it wants to do here. We had a little rain yesterday, and I was hoping to be able to sit out. It was a new moon, but it was just a little bit too cold, too windy, and there was too much cloud cover, so we couldn't really look too much at the stars. So we didn't go out. But if you did set your intention yesterday for, I did anyway, even though I wasn't outside doing it or anything, I set my intentions for the coming month, and hopefully you did too. You can still do that here if you want to today. But again, if you want to use this reading as a focus for that, maybe set your intentions for better relationships with other people, better interactions with other people, where everybody has a voice and everybody matters, and in the final outcome of something that you're working on together, no matter what it is, even if it's just taking a walk and seeing neighbors along the way, and you chat, and you're not the one monopolizing the whole conversation. I know somebody that does that. Every time we see him, he never asks us how we are. He just dumps all this stuff that's going on in his life in our lap. He does it rapid fire. You can hardly follow him. You just kind of have to nod. And that's just his thing, his way he does things. He's always been that way. He doesn't mean anything by it. He's a very nice man, but it's just how he interacts with people. And he would do better to make it a little bit more, because you kind of feel like when it's over with, it's like you got to take a deep breath and let it out, because you've kind of been holding it the whole time, right? And so it's just, even if it's just a simple interaction with a neighbor, try to do it in a way that is balanced and respectful, and gives everybody room to share something. So, and that'd be the simplest form of this. Anyway, click subscribe if you haven't. I'd love you to do that, and come back again on Thursday for another edition of As Above, So Below. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.